Dominicans were shocked when our Dominican President Luis Abinader announced his plans to sell electricity to Puerto Rico. Now, what was that all about, and is it even possible to do that? This is Purely Walking, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Now, why exactly were Dominicans so shocked to hear about these plans to sell electricity to Puerto Rico? Well, if you are a Dominican, even if you live abroad or live here in the DR, you would know that in the year of our Lord, 2024, we still have power outages here in the country.
Apagones de día, apagones de noche, apagones en la madrugada.
Los frecuentes apagones que afectan el país.
En este hermoso, bello, inigualable país nuestro, los apagones han vuelto.
So, if our own electric grid is having a crisis in the year 2024 when all the technology is supposed to be available, then why in the world or how in the world is our government going to have enough electricity to be able to sell to some other country?
Y esta es una situación muy difícil.
Well, those are the plans that Luis Abinader, our dear old president, announced during a conference on investment and infrastructure in the United States.
In the energy sector, we will need to invest about $5.4 billion in the next few years to continue the significant transformation in generation, transmission, and distribution. Our goal is to achieve a coal reserve by 2027, creating a surplus that would allow us to lay a submarine cable to sell electricity to Puerto Rico.
By year 2027, he not only plans to have enough electricity for us Dominicans over here, but he also plans to give off and sell off electricity to Puerto Rico through an underwater cable. Now, Dominicans were not only understandably shocked about these news, but they were laughing because they're like, hey, we have power outages over here. Like, what are we gonna sell to Puerto Rico? Power outages too? The comments were ongoing and ongoing. I was laughing so hard on them because it is true, guys. Like, the system over here doesn't work efficiently. There's still regular power outages still in 2024, especially in the rural areas.
Un camión. Mientras este barbarazo se para en un cónclave internacional y dice que nosotros vamos a vender energía a Puerto Rico, en Palmarito, Barahona, agarraron un camión de una empresa distribuidora de electricidad y lo secuestraron. Es harta que está la población.
Esto no es como un exceso de optimismo, decir que nosotros podemos venderle energía a Puerto Rico cuando, y posiblemente ese mensaje no haya llegado a tanta gente de manera simultánea porque había un apagón en ese momento, precisamente.
Pero yo me pregunto, ¿es el momento de hablar de eso? De hablar, porque hay una parte del público que conoce la historia del cable, pero hay otra parte que se pregunta, que van a vender energía, pero van a vender apagones.
Let me take a minute to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. My name is Ellie, and in this channel we talk about all things Dominican Republic. I show you new places around here, and also wherever I travel, I take you along with me. So hit that subscribe button, help a girl out over here. We're almost about to hit 8,000 subscribers, and I thank you so much in advance. Now, I will say, to the credit of the past government, that right about 2012, they had put a plan in place to have 24-hour circuits. So in some of the most, higher tier neighborhoods, and even some of the lower tier as well, but most of the higher tier neighborhoods now have 24-hour circuits for electricity. So the power outages are not as bad as they were before 2012. So for example, where I live in a pretty well-off neighborhood, thank God. There are hardly any power outages, but most people in the entire country, if you are middle class and up or can afford it, they do have backup systems for electricity, even if you live in one of these well-off neighborhoods. So in my home, for example, we have a personal inverter, so it's in our home directly, and whenever the light goes out in the public grid, then we have batteries that have been storing energy all this time, and they give us the energy we need until the lights come back on. If you live in a more modern, like tower, like apartment building tower, most of them already have integrated into the amenities, they have actual power generators. So if the power goes out in the public grid, you have automatically set up that power generator. It turns on automatically and you don't even see the power outage at all. So some people don't even realize when the power goes out. So that's what's going on in the Dominican Republic with regards to our electricity. We still have power outages in a lot of the neighborhoods in the Dominican Republic. Some of the well-off neighborhoods don't have as much power outages as before because of that 24-hour electric circuits that they established. And so the electric situation, it is still something that we Dominicans worry about, and that we have to invest in different apparatuses just to have backup plans for when the electricity goes out. Now, why is that? Like, why is it that in this day and age, we still have power outages in Dominican Republic when we are such a good economy, like we have a high growth in terms of the entire Latin American region? So why exactly is it that we still have power outages here? Well, in my research, there are different types of reasons why we have power outages. The base is the fact that demand is higher than supply. So we have an issue with generating actual electric power in the country. So we need more electric plants to be able to generate that power. We also have an issue with transmission and distribution. So the government has a lot of losses because they haven't been doing a good program of maintenance to the actual grid or the actual infrastructure that is existing here in the country. So there are a lot of losses in transmission and in distribution of the electricity. Another question you may have for Abinader is, hey President, why exactly would Puerto Rico even need electricity from us if they are kind of a part of the United States and the United States is supposed to help them out? Well, the thing is that Puerto Rico is not an actual state of the Union of the United States. It's actually a free associated state. So they do have some of the privileges that come along with being a part of the United States, but they don't have all the rights. For example, Puerto Ricans don't have a vote in Congress of the US, and any major issues that arise, like for example, if they want to make a big investment and they need United States money to do so, they need to pass that through Congress. So it's kind of like they have to ask permission for these types of things. So in recent years, what's been going on with the electric grid in Puerto Rico is the fact that a lack of maintenance has gotten it to a less than standard upkeep. So they have been having a little bit of issues, but the major issue came in 2017 when they had that huge hurricane that hit them and they were out of power for like 2 weeks or something like that. It was very, very awful for their infrastructure, and ever since they haven't been able to keep up to par with the demand on electricity. So Puerto Rico is in a huge need of help when it comes to electric generation. Now, this idea is not an original idea to Presidente Abinader. There were actual plans to have this underwater cable go to Puerto Rico and even Colombia back in 2008. But in March of this year, Caribbean Transmission, which is a private company, has already submitted the forms and the request to allow this cable to be built underwater to Puerto Rico. So they have already deposited those documents into the United States. So our government plans to invest $5,400 million in the next 2 years, so that in 2027 we're going to be able, supposedly according to them, to have enough energy not only to give us Dominicans enough energy and not have any blackouts anymore, but to also sell energy to Puerto Ricans. So most people are actually skeptical about this. And what is my take? Well, I take the optimistic approach. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it by 2027, but the fact that they have set the bar so high, then I mean, if they make it to like 90% or 80% on top, that means that us Dominicans will have barely any blackouts, you know? So I prefer for the government to set that bar really high and to announce it to the world. So I'm glad Presidente Abinader actually announced this in a public forum. That way us Dominicans can be watching what the government is doing regarding this huge investment and all those millions of dollars into the electric grid in DR. So I mean, if we don't get to to sell power to Puerto Rico, at least we're going to have solved a lot of the issues with the blackouts happening here in the DR. So I'm really excited about that. So what do you guys think about all this? Do you think that it is possible to sell electricity from Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico by 2027? Are you skeptical? Are you optimistic? Let me know all your thoughts down below. Well guys, once again, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't leave this channel without doing so. YouTube should be recommending a new video on my channel right about now. Go ahead and watch it. And this is me signing out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.